Hello, and welcome to Differential Discussions. I'm Melissa,
And I'm Dave.
and we're still talking about red cell morphology. Today, we're going to talk about uremia.
Yeah, uremia is, not necessarily hemolytic. Excuse me. It can be. Yes, it is hemolytic. Not necessarily a hematology topic, but something that we see, and it obviously influences the peripheral blood. So, yeah, patho on uremia.
So I just wanted to write out uremia so that
Sure.
everybody could see it. And emia really just means in the blood. So you have this buildup of junk, right? So uric acid's a big one. You get a buildup of junk in your blood, and typically due to chronic kidney disease. So what happens is you get this disease or damage or something happens to your kidney where you have chronic kidney disease. And especially once you get towards late stage chronic kidney disease, that's where you really see all of the junk building up in the blood, the uric acid, BUN, creatinine, all of that stuff. Now, when you have all of that built up in the blood, one of the things that you're going to find are a lot of echinocytes, or these burst cells that you see here in this peripheral blood field. And the reason for that is, simple osmosis. So you have more junk, more contents, more solutes in the blood outside of your red cells than you do inside of the red cells. So your water is going to exit the cells and it's going to make them crenated because you have less water inside and they're more leaving. So you get this crenated appearance because your water is exiting the cell to try to dilute out the contents outside of the cell. So that's where we're going to get the echinocytes in uremia. Uremia is going to result in a lot of hematological things, or just mostly it's the echinocytes and the anemia that you're going to find hematologically with kidney disease. You'll obviously find a lot of other issues with the kidney and chemistry values, but for hematology, you get anemia, and it's a multifactorial anemia leading from a lot of causes. So uremia is one reason why patients have anemia in CKD, because uremia builds up junk in the blood. It is going to make your red cells more fragile. It's going to suppress erythropoietin's activity in the bone marrow, which leads to decreased erythropoiesis. You're also going to have decreased EPO. Now, this depends on where and how much of your kidney is impacted. But if we're getting to the point where your BUN, your creatinine are really elevated, then you probably have decreased EPO, because remember, the kidneys make EPO. So if you can't make EPO, you get decreased erythropoiesis. You're also going to have the possibility of anemia of chronic inflammation, because you got chronic inflammation from having a damaged kidney. And remember, anemia of chronic inflammation is sometimes normochromic normocytic and sometimes microcytic hypochromic. So you could still have a normochromic normocytic anemia outside of the echinocytes, even though you're dealing with this CKD and the anemia of chronic inflammation. It just depends on the patient. So it could also be that you'll have dietary deficiencies, because patients with CKD have a restricted diet. So you may not be taking in the correct proteins, the correct nutrients. And so if you're not taking them in, you could become iron deficient. You could become folate deficient, in addition to the anemia. And then the last reason, or one of the last reasons, would be a lot of times these patients are on dialysis. So dialysis can physically damage your red cells and cause them to pop. Now, dialysis by itself is not going to make you anemic, but dialysis in conjunction with everything else that I just mentioned is definitely going to lead to anemia in patients with chronic kidney disease.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Of course.
All right, so now we're back on the slide, huh? And we'll kind of take a look at a few fields, but I'm seeing this field, predictably echinocytes. Do see some ovalo-echinocytes.
Yep.
And then perhaps the occasional schistocyte too.
Yep. So you've got echinocytes. You've got some ovalo. So this guy's kind of an ovalo on his own, excuse me. And then yes, there's a schisto.
Yep.
I think it's mostly echinocytes, some ovalocytes, and then the occasional, because there is another schisto over here.
Yep.
But again, it's something we'll have to keep track of, see if we want to call it.
Right. Mental note. And then,
There's a teardrop here.
the obligatory, that's an N for our viewers. Obligatory neutrophil.
Yep, the neutrophil. And then, like, there is a teardrop, a dicryocyte over
Oh,
here.
yeah. Okay. That's subtle.
I think he's an anomaly. He's just a random teardrop cell, not really associated with CKD.
Right.
Cool. So we're probably going to see the same thing, but let's look at a couple other fields. Just to
Sure. Yeah, because something like echinocytes too can definitely be artifact in some situations making smears. So we want to make sure that we go field to field and we're seeing that consistently before calling. And yeah, here we go again, more echinocytes. And they are quite numerous. So I think as long as this repeats, we're really not thinking, are we going to call echinocytes, but to what magnitude, right? Do we, 2, 3 plus, or what have you?
Absolutely. Looks like there is a spherocyte over here too.
Yeah, I was suspicious on the last field too. There might be some spherocytes.
Yeah, there could be. See if there's enough to call. Doesn't look like it, but who knows? All right. So more echinocytes. There is a spherocyte again. Don't see a schistocyte. You see, oh, maybe here. Right there. This guy is kind of like almost acanthocytic and less echinocytic here.
True. Yeah, and we have another video on acanthocytes, but just for the sake of convenience, acanthocytes would have uneven projections, contrasting with an echinocyte that's going to have evenly formed projections throughout the periphery of the cell. Yeah.
Yep.
But still, just one, right?
Yep.
So.
Yep. Okay, so I think we should just say that this is not Rouleau. We're just in a thicker part of the slide.
Right. And if it were Rouleau, one of the ways we can kind of test that is to move thinner and see if that holds, right? And I think predictably this would not hold, but.
Okay, I can move a little thinner.
Also, these groups are kind of like 2s and 3s, right? Calling Rouleau on 2s and 3s is not good practice. And yeah, and there it goes. It's gone. Yeah.
It's gone. It's gone, leaving us with echinocytes.
Yep.
A few spherocytes.
Yeah, I see a couple on this field.
Yeah,
yep.
Me too. I don't think that we are thin enough that it's the artifact spherocytes. They look like real spherocytes.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that's something that just comes with time and practice.
It is. I could not describe to you how I know it if my life depended on it. But there's something about the red cells where they look content to me. These look content and not like, yeah.
Yeah, and you'll notice that Dave and I don't know if you were doing this or if I rubbed off on you, but we make the cells emote. They have emotion.
Yeah. I think humans do that, right? Like we always impart like a self on them that doesn't exist, but yeah, it helps us.
You guys will see it more with white cells because we'll be like, ooh, this guy looks angry. But yeah, you guys will see it a lot more as we continue on. But for now, yeah. But I know what you mean by the cells look content.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's just move on a little bit more.
So we've gone through several fields now. I'd say that the echinocytes have held, right? So we can say with pretty high confidence that this isn't an artifact on the slide. It could still be a draw issue, right? There still could be a realm of possibility where the draw was poor, but that it can't be determined by us on the bench with the slide.
Right.
That would be caught at the analyzer perhaps, or across departments, right? Where we might
Yeah,
have a
I think it
contaminated
would
drug.
either be across departments or the physicians would note it as an anomaly.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Cool. So, do we have enough to summarize, you think?
I think so.
Cool. So, I don't know. This is like 2+ conservatively. I think
Yeah.
3+ echinocytes. What do you think?
I think it would go with 2+ on average, just because you have fields like this that are more like 1.5, and then you
Right.
have some that are more like 2, 2.5, 3. So on average, it's about 2+.
Split the difference there.
Yeah.
And then we have spherocytes. It doesn't hit our threshold for calling. Ovalocytes noted, but we're not going to call, right? Occasional acanthocyte, maybe. Yeah. So more or less, the formal result would be echinocytes, 2+ echinocytes.
Yep.
Yeah.
2+ echinocytes. Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you'd like notifications whenever we post a new video. And feel free to reach out to us on social media or via email with comments or suggestions about future content. Thanks.